Welcome to day 18 of wearing my Sonic the Hedgehog shirt. Can you blame me? I'm tired, boss. No, but really I got up extra early today for reasons I don't entirely understand. I have a lot of stuff that I want to do on this channel, a lot of stuff that I want to show you, and in order to do it in the way that I want to do it, I have a lot of work ahead of me. And sometimes I don't always have it planned out where I know how long anything is going to take. So I look at the clock and I say, I don't have a whole lot of time left. So to take advantage of that, I'm going to do something that I think will not take very long. I may be horribly wrong about this. If you haven't noticed, I have a lot of Warhammer Quest. It's like the main Warhammer thing that I have, except for Underworlds. Now I have quite a bit of Underworlds too, but there's one game that kind of bridges the gap between Underworlds and Quest, so to speak. And it's kind of Warhammer Quest Darkwater, to be completely honest with you. But, I mean, actually there is no but. Warhammer Quest Darkwater is about as Underworlds as it gets with its hex grid system. Now see, that segue was not part of the plan. Okay, but Darkwater is a big game. It's a big old campaign. Sure, you can play one-shots, but the point is, it's got a lot more rules than maybe you want to address as a simple Underworlds skirmisher, right? You want your Warhammer Quest to come in a nice compact box that matches the form factor and size and weight entirely of your Underworlds game, don't you? Then have I got the game? Behold! No, not Nether Maze, the one under it. This, behold! This is Warhammer Quest Lost Relics. Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is AshQuest. And this is and I already said that. I've had this Warhammer Quest game for quite some time, and it didn't occur to me until recently that I never unboxed it. And the reason that I'm drawing the parallels to Underworld is, quite frankly, because I think that it may have been in the design of this game deliberately to expand it using Underworld's resources. Maybe not you expanding it using Underworld's resources, but Games Workshop using Underworld's resources to expand it should it be successful. That was obviously not the case, or at least it was just like every other Warhammer Quest game, invented, released, and then forgotten about. I base my theory on absolutely no empirical evidence, by the way. I do have a solid link between this and Underworlds, and I'm going to get to that very soon. But first, Warhammer Quest Lost Relics is a game from Games Workshop for ages 12 and up, wherein a session could take 30 minutes if the players are between 1 and 4. Find the treasures, battle the Magister, escape the labyrinth. You've got about 5 seconds before I reveal the grim truth about this game. Alright, so it's not really a grim truth, but right here, we have some truth seekers. Xander is truth seekers, to be honest. To be honest, wow, the truth seeking is really getting to me. To be exact, that's right, this game comes with the Xander is truth seekers sprue, which I believe you can get in not just Warhammer Underworlds, the Harrowdeep season, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm pretty sure also Warcry. Lost Relics is a game for 1 to 4 players set in an arcane labyrinth deep below the city of Hallowheart. Regis Fullbringer and his heroic warband of Stormcast Eternals awaken to find themselves trapped. As they search for a way out of the labyrinth, the heroes encounter bands of foes seeking to do the same. With the aid of the treasures they find, the lost adventurers must combat their enemies and escape. Can you defeat the Labyrinth's Magister to reclaim the Stormcast Eternals' freedom? Yeah, so we play as a few big, bulky Stormcast Eternals. There's about 5 of these heroes in the game, and there isn't really a whole lot to it, so let's find out exactly what that means. Nothing under the lid, and this wins points for being the Warhammer Quest game with the least components, bar none. By a large margin. We have the rulebook. We have the sheets that we will punch out to get our tiles and map pieces. And yeah, I was actually kind of jump scared by the fact I hadn't yet taken off the plastic wrapping. We have our sprue of Stormcast Eternals. This is the one that is included with its appropriate season of Underworlds. We have an extra sprue for Regis Fullbringer. This one is not included with the Underworlds army. I'm sure you could find it in other places, though. We've also got the base for Regis, the most undecorated base in all of Warhammer, contemporary Warhammer. A card well in the tray for a single deck of cards. This is it. There are 4 types of cards, maybe 5. We have an adventure card, which is double-sided, but the same on both sides, numbered 0 through 7. Look at the hexes. I'm telling you, the Underworlds is close by. We have what appear to be cards representing our heroes. This makes up the warband of Xander's Truth Seekers. We have Calthea Xandere, Doraz Giantfell, Luxa Stormrider, and Regis Fullbringer. The card backs feature a really nice illustration of these Stormcast Eternals, deep within the wherever they are. We have one card for Taros, the companion. Yes, if you noticed, he was missing from the hero deck. He has been reduced to a companion here. When this hero makes a move action, it is always an inspired move action, so there's inspiration in this game. The Underworlds influence is strong. We have monster cards, the Death Rattle Skeleton. Oh, the monster cards are all double-sided as well, with one side being the regular minion stats and the other being the empowered stats. The Odd Boy, the Grot, the Squig, that's 3 for destruction representation. The Clan Rat, the Kyric Acolyte, the Zangor, and the Horror, that's 3 for Tzeentch representation. 1 Undead and 1 Skaven. Finally, we have what appears to be an equipment deck. We have the Shade Glass Hammer, the Shocking Strike, the Shadow Silk Hood, Potion of Strength. It doesn't matter how old the game, how new the game, from whence the game came. There will always be a Potion of Strength. Heavy Folds. Folds, that is an armor term I've never heard before. The monsters too have weapons listed on their card, but no 2 weapons are really the same, so it's kind of pointless to list what it is they're using. I suppose it does add a little bit to the immersion of the game. The cards are pretty, what I like to call, sterilized otherwise, so it is nice to have some immersive thematic information where it is available. We also have these oversized cards, which seem to be like war scrolls, and a dozen D6 dice to chuck along the table at your foes. It would surprise me if this game did not utilize the dice drafting mechanics from some of the other Warhammer Quest games. Now these cards are double-sided as well, but instead of being inspired, we have the wounded side, which is going to bring your stats down ever so slightly. I'm kind of yapping on about speculation here, but this symbol right here looks very much like the double advantage if your target is adjacent to somebody else on your team, on the attacker's team. Nevertheless, we have cards for Regis Fullbringer, Calthea Xandere again, Doraz Giantfell again, and Luxa Stormrider again. We've also got them for the monsters, but these are the boss versions of the monsters that you're going to encounter, represented by tokens, not miniatures, in order to keep this game nice and compact. We've got the Death Rattle Warden, the Odd Boy Boss, the Grot Fanatic, the Squig Herd, the Grot Shaman, the Claw Pack Leader, and the Magister Mondothier. Oh, he's terrifying. That's not at all who I thought it was. Then who is this? He's not Regis. He's not Doraz Giantfell, I don't think. Is he like the god of the Stormcast Eternals? Is he like a very prominent figure in Age of Sigmar history that I should definitely know? These leader cards are also double-sided. As you can imagine, the other side is not good for you. This is the empowered version of the monster. Before we break into the tiles, we're going to have a quick look in the rulebook and read the introduction. In the tap houses of Hallowheart, one of Sigmar's most prestigious cities, whispers tell that beneath the streets lies a vast hidden maze. The Order of Vizier has long tried to uncover it, but the labyrinth is forever shifting, empowered by the magic its builders, secret worshippers of the mad god Tzeentch, worked into the stone. This place is known as the Horde, and it is very real. Its overlord, Magister Mondothier, is a fearsome sorcerer, and has been granted many dark boons through loyal service to Tzeentch. Fortunately for Hallowheart, Mondothier's primary obsession is acquiring artifacts fashioned from shade glass, a mystical material that can be used to trap souls. Over the decades, Mondothier's acolytes retrieved many such treasures for their master's insane galleries. However, this only fed the Magister's warped fixation. Shade glass has long been connected with the Cataphrane curse, a sinister magical anomaly where warriors become trapped in an endless cycle of death and resurrection. Some eventually escaped the curse, but in doing so, they drew the acquisitive attention of Mondothier's disciples. Many of these warriors were soon captured, their souls bound to shade glass prisons, and their hollow bodies left as little more than statues. When a huge earthquake rocked Hallowheart, disaster struck for Mondothier. Within the Horde, many shade glass treasures were shattered, allowing trapped souls to return to their bodies. Revived warriors found themselves within the lair of their captor and surrounded by enemies. Carnage immediately ensued. Though outraged at the damage to his collection, Mondothier devised a cunning solution. He had recently acquired a new prized exhibit, a warband of Stormcast Eternals. It was these demigod warriors that he grudgingly released from stasis. If any were capable of corralling his other escaped exhibits, it would be them, especially once they had armed themselves with the powerful relics of his galleries. Once they were victorious, the Magister could descend upon the exhausted Stormcast and confine them to their hellish prison once more, before the heavenly champions could escape his lair. Warhammer Quest Lost Relics is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players. Taking on the role of heroic Stormcast Eternals, you will undertake adventures into the dangerous depths of the Horde of Hallowheart to thwart the evil forces lurking there. Will you triumph over the minions of chaos and destruction, or will their nefarious schemes come to fruition, to the ruin of all? Each hero is represented by a citadel miniature, and each hostile is represented by a token that bears that hostile's portrait. In addition, each hero, companion, and type of hostile is represented by a card that tells you what they do in the game. This game also includes treasure cards to represent the treasures the heroes discover in their adventures, as well as initiative cards. There's our singular companion card. Some adventures use the adventure card to track the passage of time. The 4 initiative cards are used to determine the order in which the heroes act in each round. Each hero's initiative card bears that hero's portrait. There are hostile cards for leaders and minions. Both types of hostile card are double-sided. The reverse describes an empowered version of that hostile. The adventure rules will tell you when to use the empowered versions. During your hero's adventures, they will discover treasure cards. There are 3 types of treasure card. A weapon gives a hero an additional attack action, a piece of armor gives a hero a permanent ability, and an artifact gives a hero a 1-use unique action. Each hero can have up to 1 of each of these kinds of cards. When a hero gains a treasure card, they can keep it or immediately give it to another hero, regardless of where that hero is on the battlefield, or even if that hero is out of action. If a hero would gain a second weapon, armor, or artifact, that hero's player must choose one of those cards and shuffle it back into the treasure deck. Many cards can only be used by a certain hero. Where this is the case, that hero's name is stated after the card's name. Taros cannot have treasure cards. We are going to have the card name, the hero name, if any, and the type of card. This is the Helm of Dominion, an artifact. Luckstone, an artifact. This is the Shade Glass Hammer, 5+. It is a weapon, and it is for Giant Fell. We will also have the attack action for weapons only. That's here. A minion that is damaged by this attack action cannot make reactions for the rest of the round. And we will have unique actions or abilities for artifacts and armor respectively down here. We also will have the description. This has no bearing on the game. It is simply flavor text. We'll look at the last of the treasure cards that come with the game, and that's it. Warhammer Quest Lost Relics uses double-sided game boards to represent the battlefields of the Horde. Each board has a label. These are the Horde's boards. And by the way, they've spelt Horde H-O-A-R-D, which is like a horde of treasures, not like a horde versus the Alliance. The board Horde, Horde's boards. Sorry, each board has a label, making it easy to identify when setting up an adventure, and is split into a number of areas. So the label would be 1A for this board, 2A for this board, and so on. Oh, there's the symbol that I was thinking was the danger adjacency symbol present on the die face. So that must mean that it affects the entire room whenever you use the ability that has the symbol, like Circle of Steel is either melee or it's going to affect the whole room. I don't know. I'm just speculating. This number is the area limit, which tells you how many heroes and or hostiles can fit in that area at once. Yeah, you'll notice that there are no squares. There's no grid whatsoever to speak of. Yeah, this kind of looks like it's going to be a grid, but let's be real, that's not going to be the case. So 2 people can fit in this room, 2 can fit here, 1 can fit here on the stairwell, 2 in this room, 12 in this room, somehow. It's kind of silly. 2 here, 5 here. So far, so good, right? I hope you notice the doors on this board. They look very similar to the ones from other Warhammer Quest games. This would be your closed door. This is your open door. Although, to my dungeon crawling eye, it looks like blocked wall versus now there's the appearance of a door. I don't know how to explain that. But they are here in between the boards, linking them. The next section explains adjacency. These 2 areas are adjacent, as are these, as are these if they are touching the same door token. As would then these be. and so on. You will choose an adventure to begin playing. You can choose any of the adventures in this book and play them in any order. They're presented in the order of easiest to most difficult, but if you want to follow the story of the heroes, simply start with the first adventure and play each of them in turn. There are 12 adventures. For what is essentially Warhammer Quest Junior, that's not bad. Your setup will look something like this, sort of, kind of, maybe. To play a round, you will have an adventure phase, the dice phase, the initiative phase, the action phase, the leader phase, and the recovery phase. 6 simple phases. The adventure you are playing will tell you what happens during the adventure phase. Often it will involve moving hostiles and sometimes making attack actions with these hostiles. The dice phase consists of each player taking 3 action dice for their hero. If they have more than one hero, they take 3 action dice for each one. They roll them, and then without changing the result shown on the dice, they place them in the spaces on that hero's hero card. A player uses these dice during the action phase to make actions with their hero. Don't do this for any heroes that are out of action. I suppose this is where the common actions section of that hero card comes into play. Oh, and they're not called war scrolls. I guess that makes sense since they don't have any, paragraphs of information on them. War scrolls are usually pretty wordy. Disappointed in myself. The initiative phase consists of taking the initiative cards for your heroes, shuffling them together face down, then dealing them out face up in a line to one side of the battlefield. You won't do it for any heroes that are out of action. The action phase consists of the hero whose initiative card is on the left of the line of initiative cards having the first turn, and then that hero whose initiative card is next in line will have the next turn, and so on until each hero has had a turn. When it is a hero's turn in the action phase, they can make 3 actions, 1 for each of their action dice. They don't have to make all 3 actions, or any at all. A player can end their hero's turn immediately, or after any action. When they do, change each of that hero's remaining action dice to a result of 1. After each action, there is a reaction step in which one hostile may react, and there is a reaction step after a player ends their hero's turn without taking any actions. The actions that a hero can make during the action phase are described thusly. Common actions. That would be these guys. Move, rest, interact. Unique actions, such as this one, Blaze of Light, 6+. Inspired actions, which are any actions that have this lovely inspired symbol after them. Action chains, which allows heroes to work together with explosive results. Whenever a player spends an action dice with a result of 1 to make an action with their hero, that player can start an action chain. If they do, a hero, which could be the same hero or a different hero, can immediately make an action if their player spends an action dice with a result of 2. Then a hero can immediately make an action if their player spends an action dice with a result of 3. And these can be inspired actions if that result is high enough, and so on, allowing the heroes to work together to make an action chain of up to 6 actions, one immediately after the other, during which there are no reaction steps. And this would be the key to steamrolling the enemies and getting through the campaigns strategically in this game. There are also destiny tokens. These sword boys here, there are 4 of them. Heroes other than Taros can earn destiny tokens as described in each adventure's rules. Each hero can only have 1 destiny token. If they would earn another one, nothing happens. When a player spends an action dice, they can also spend a destiny token if their hero has one, which allows you to change the facing of the action dice before you spend it. So it has whichever value you choose. That's the action phase. Next is the leader phase. Each hostile leader on the battlefield makes its leader action. One of these bad boys. If possible, if there is more than one leader, the player whose hero took the first turn in the round decides the order in which they make these actions. Finally, there is the recovery phase. And in this phase, if one or more heroes are adjacent to an empty haven area, these are marked on the adventure map, place one hero who is out of action in that area and turn their hero card over to the unwounded side. Finally, in this phase, remove any unused action dice from each hero's hero card, then the round ends. Now, I said you had basic actions, and then I left it at that, but the basic actions are as follows: move, attack, rest, interact. That's it. Hostiles can make a variety of actions during their reactions, including attacking, executing, moving, and retreating. Each hero will keep their treasure cards from one adventure to the next, although admittedly, there aren't that many treasure cards to keep, so your heroes really only scale up a little bit. It seems, anyway. Destiny tokens and damage tokens don't carry over from one adventure to the next. But if your heroes are out of action at the end of an adventure, they will begin the next adventure with your card's wounded side showing. Ouch. We go right into the adventures after the assembly instructions, and these are push-fit miniatures because they are the miniatures that belong to this generation of Games Workshop Age of Sigmar push-fit miniatures. This wouldn't be the same sprue as the Underworlds set if it wasn't push-fit. Adventure 1 is Into the Horde. With a sudden wrench, The heroes find themselves in an unfamiliar setting. Is this a dungeon, a treasury, a temple, or a tomb? Unsure and disoriented, the heroes are suddenly set upon by a contingent of animated death rattle skeletons. They must fight their way through. We have the setup. We're only going to use one board in this adventure, and we've got a whole bunch of death rattle skeletons. So it would not be difficult by any stretch to replace the enemies, the monsters on this board, with their Age of Sigmar miniature counterparts, and you could most assuredly definitely find those amongst the masses of Underworlds miniatures. Certainly there is a warband to represent absolutely every one of these creatures. Although I'm not entirely sure which warbands would work, I want to say that you probably have a Skittershanks claw pack that you could use to replace all of the Skaven here, but that is 5 Skavens. You'd have to make sure that your warband is at least 5 Skaven. You'd have to make sure your skeleton warband is at least 7 skeletons, which it so happens the Sepulchral Guard is 7 skeletons. I'm kind of interested now in knowing if this artwork is the same artwork used on the Sepulchral Guard's cards. I don't know if that's the case or not. I know we've got some squigs and some Hobgrot fanatics and some regular grots. I know we've got some Ardboys. I don't think there's a warband with 4 Ardboys in it though, but I honestly, I've got one warband with this kind of orc, and there are 3, so I don't want to discount the possibility that there's another one out there in the vast amount, the vast selection of Underworld's warbands, that there is another warband with Ardboys that has 4. I see it as being a very low possibility. I have to go back and study my lists. Regardless of all of that, you could definitely go ahead and replace all of these tokens with miniatures of your choosing. You could proxy them with very accessible Age of Sigmar miniatures. I say very accessible, but you'd have to go find suitable miniature replacements first, and secondly, you'd have to buy them. So maybe not as accessible as I'm letting on. They're double-sided tokens to help you indicate whether or not they are empowered, and you won't get that luxury if you do have them as miniatures in miniature format, unless you've got like a token or something you can slip under the miniature, or unless you're just flipping the card and keeping track that way. So that's a consideration to make. Other than that, we have the exit. We have the starting area, which is just denoted by this skull within this spinning lightning circle of death. That's a strange symbol to use for the starting area, but it is on a tile that allows up to 4 entities to be placed on it. And we actually have a chest here. We do have a chest token, so that could be placed on the board. Yes, it's open on both sides. The heroes must break through the death rattle skeletons and out of this trap. To do so, a hero in the exit area must make a move action. When this happens, the heroes are victorious. Note that the heroes cannot make a move action if they are engaged, unless that move action is an inspired move action. And here is the affected tile. 2B. So I have to say, high praise for the setup of this game. It wouldn't take more than like 2 minutes, really, to set up any of these given campaign scenarios. I mean, not even that. 2 minutes for me right now, because I haven't punched any tokens out. All right, maybe another hour to give me some time to put these guys together. I like that. We're going to move on to the Adventure 2, The Warden Strikes. As the heroes are recovering their breath after their first skirmish with the forces of death, they come under attack once more. This time, the skeletons are led by the horrifying and powerful Death Rattle Warden. Remember that as leader, the Warden will make a leader action in each leader phase. So I like that they didn't utilize all of the rules in the first adventure, kind of warming you up to the flow of the game and success, and then introducing you to a second board and doors and the leader phase. We've got the same symbols for the map key here. We are utilizing all of the undead, we're utilizing 6 of them, and we do have a chest again. Oh, nope, there is a difference here. We have the Haven symbol, which is located right here, upper right-hand corner of board 3A. The heroes must survive the attack until the adventure marker moves to the end of the adventure track, or until the Death Rattle Warden is slain. When either of these happens, the heroes are victorious. And for the adventure phase, the adventure token starts on the space mark 6 on the adventure card. Move the adventure token down 1 space at the start of each adventure phase. When the token reaches the space mark 0, the adventure ends immediately and the heroes are victorious. Our adventures move on into Wrecking Ball. Stealthily advancing, our heroes go through the corridors of the Horde. The walls are lined with forgotten treasures. some of which surely belong in a storm vault. Suddenly the quiet is shattered by a brutish war cry, and an orc mob attacks. The heroes must act quickly to save a priceless relic from the rampaging Ardboys. Oh, so they are literally trying to save relics. So I guess they know their situation then. They're just playing along? Alright, so we've got our 4 Ardboys up here. We do have some skeletons in this dungeon as well, so a lot more combat. This time we have the starting area, the haven, the relic, and the chest. Adventure 4 is Sudden Mayhem. We have to slay the squig herd to break the morale of the grots, and when the heroes slay the squig herd, they are victorious. Oh, the poor squigs. Shatter the sentinels is next, followed by a cunning trap. 2 guesses as to what enemies are in that one. The first one doesn't count. Dark Secrets gives us a band of Tzeentchian cultists who are surely responsible for the trickery that brought them here. And we go on just to kind of glance at the additional maps in this book, appreciating that they are double-paged here to allow for plenty of room for the visual representation of the map as well as the quest, or adventure rather, notes. Then we move on to the final battle. Loving the artwork, by the way. The Goblin Fanatics, they crack me up. The Skaven looks so cool. And that is, more or less, Warhammer Quest Lost Relics. I'm guessing these cavities will allow us to place our tokens, our dice, and then our miniatures maybe will fit in here. I'm kind of dubious on that point. I don't entirely trust that that's the case. You can't fit anything under the tray, by the way. The walls of the tray go all the way up to the top of the box, not allowing for any more lift at all. I'm a little doubtful about putting my assembled Stormcast Eternals back into this box. That seems to be a Warhammer Underworlds holdover. It's like they really don't want you to put your stuff back into the box. They want you to proudly display it somewhere, somehow. But all that said, I will definitely be keeping this game in my collection until I have at least braved 1 or 2 of the quests to find out if it is for me necessarily. It is definitely skirmish heavy, but the action chains really intrigue me. And I really like that the win condition isn't just get through the entire dungeon, killing everything in sight and searching for treasure until you reach the end door. There are varied win conditions, and I appreciate that. It makes things a little less combat grind and a little bit more like how Darkwater comes off. You know, I wonder if there were decisions in this game that informed Darkwater. I've made the comparisons between Darkwater and Underworlds too, just in terms of what you could use for inspiration. And honestly, there's not a whole lot of cross-play potential at all. You would really have to inject your own stats, or find a sensible way to convert the stats of the various Underworlds armies to participate in Warhammer Quest Darkwater in some way. I'm not saying that that can't be done, and I'm definitely not saying that it wouldn't be fun. It can be done, and it would be a lot of fun. And I think you would be able to do the exact same thing for Lost Relics here, particularly because if you are replacing your tokens with Warhammer Underworlds Warband miniatures, you are probably incentivized or inspired to bring over stats and the like anyway. I have this lid on upside down. That's gonna drive me nuts. Can't do that. So I hope, brave viewers, that you will find the treasures, battle the Magister, and escape the labyrinth. If you've played Lost Relics, you'll have to let me know how your experience went. I would love to know. Comment what you like down below about this presentation, and I will see you in the next exciting adventure. Until then, brave heroes, thank you so much for your kind attention, and I wish you a fantastic rest of your day. Until next time, onward.